Dijeron igualdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todo se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hasta dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nati Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi visión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
Long live the revolution.
Rise up. No. Go ahead, Akimba. Lead us in.
That was a different show. Hey, rise up, rise up. What's going on?
You know, we're here for another Rise Up morning show. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you could be here on today, the day of the December 25th. What's December 25th, Akimba?
It's the day before Umoja, Kwanzaa. It's the day before the first day of Kwanzaa.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, for sure. Hey, I'm going to be doing some recording today as well. We charge colonialism. Check it out. Bah humbug. That's what we call it. Bah humbug. You know, so tap in.
What time?
3 p.m. 3 p.m. Yeah, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Bah humbug. It's gonna be dope. We're gonna talk about the holidays.
Absolutely.
We're gonna talk about that history. Well, not get too much into the history, but definitely some of the economic contradictions, some of the manipulation that goes on around this time, deep manipulation of children. But I don't want to go too much into it, but definitely tap in.
If you want to hear the rest, if you wanted to hear the rest of what Akimba was going to say, tune into Baham later on today at 3 p.m. I wanted to, since we're talking about how the 25th is the day before Kwanzaa, right? The first day of Kwanzaa, I wanted to let the people know about a couple of Kwanzaa events that are happening within the, I guess, New York area. Akimba, I don't know if you know of anything happening in Philly that you want to tell the people about, but really quickly,
I can inform the people. You never know; they might be in the area, right? So
if you're in the area, so I'm gonna just share my screen real quick to share some of the. Let's see where we at.
I'm not as prepared as you as far as pulling it up on the screen, but I can verbally let you know what's happening.
Let me pull them up real quick. I have them here.
I'll lay it down as you pull it up. Let me go through mine real quick. So on December 28th, this Kwanzaa event happening and this is in North North Philly, 6201 North 21st Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the Imhotep Institute Charter High School. That's on December the 28th. On December 26th and 27th, at the library, Montgomery Auditorium, Parkway Central Library, 1901 Vine Street. No, I got some feelings about that one at the library. I guess it all depends on who's doing it. Who's doing it, man, at the end of the day. There's this other one, Kwanzaa Celebration Free Community Day. This is on the 29th. And this one is at Penn Museum. I ain't gonna front. I got some issues with that.
All right. Well, let me share mine since you see it.
I don't like when they be in those public spaces like those museums and libraries. Yeah, I like it, authentic Black spaces when we doing Kwanzaa. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, because I mean, I know of some of the ones that happen around, New York that are like at museums and at libraries as well. But yeah, I like the community ones that I know, like the communities hosting. I also kind of feel a kind of way about like bigger organizations, like mainstream corporate ones.
Yeah.
Hosting Kwanzaas, like.
Yeah, they
about that.
Hey, and nothing African about them as far as their mentality, mindset. But because Kwanzaa is something that is celebrated, created by Black folks, they think because they Black by default they can, we're going to do Kwanzaa, and that's not diss to everybody. Those folks know who they are.
But so in Brooklyn, we're gonna have on the 27th, Kujichagulia self-determination. And so the December 12th movement is hosting this one. So it's going to be on Friday, December 27th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. At Restoration Plaza on the first floor. So make sure you check that one out. The barcode is up right now. So if you want to pause, take a little time for you to what is the word I'm looking for? Scan it. Yes, to scan it. Yes. Yeah. So right now you can scan it. And then if you're watching this, later after we've aired, you can, pause the video or whatever. And then there's also another Kwanzaa on the 27th, which is held by Harlem Peace and Harlem Palestine Peace Walk for Liberation. You can see a couple of organizations that are hosting it down here in conjunction with also Hala, which is another organization that does work with us. And so this one is going to be, there's a 2-day Kwanzaa event. So on the 27th, if there's going to be one, and also on the 28th, there's going to be one. And the one on the day one is going to be at 1765 Madison Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. And then the one on the 28th is going to be at 163rd East 11th Street from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then we have another Kwanzaa, a third one that I'll share with everyone, which is, and then there's one other one I'll share also. But this one is going to be happening. This one is a children's Kwanzaa celebration, particularly geared toward the children. So it says, and it specifically says this event will cater completely to our Watoto. No adult lectures, but all are welcome. So check that one out as well, which will be on December 29th from 3 to 6 p.m. At Watoto Play Shop, which is going to be on it's off Pitkin Avenue. So it's at 190 Milford Street. And then I'm going to share just one more Kwanzaa with y'all. They
getting it in New York, huh?
Yeah,
we're Black pride, African pride.
And these are all, community Kwanzaas. These ain't, none of these is corporate. So, and there's also a lot of these corporate Kwanzaas in New York too, as well.
People got options. That's what's up.
At the amount of the Kwanzaas that exist. And this other last one that I wanted to share with the people, CMOTAP is presenting its 2024 to 2025 New Year's Eve celebration from Kuumba to Imani, celebrating the births of Dr. Joseph Ben Yakinen, Dr. John Henry Clark, and Miss Amy Jacques Garvey. And this will be from Tuesday, 8 p.m. on December 31st to 1 a.m. January 1st, 2024 at CMOTAP Center at 13505 Rockaway Boulevard in Queens. So, please.
That's how you rise up for the new year. They bring in the new year like that. Where they doing that at? You know what I'm saying? You can go all around the country. You can go to Atlanta. You can go to Cal. They not doing it like that. Like, listen, what's going on, brother? What's up?
Bah humbug. Listen, make no mistake about it. ATL's in the building. Shout out to Dr. Ben. Shout out to Dr. Clark. Mama Amy, etc., etc. I don't know what this guy talking about. Where they only doing something in New York. New York's been gentrified heavy.
You said that's hilarious.
New York's been gentrified heavy. Shout out to New York. I ain't gonna trip.
Oh man.
So tell us what they doing in Atlanta.
Hey man, what they say? You can find me in the
Hey, they ain't start gentrifying the A yet?
What you say?
They haven't started gentrifying the A yet?
Africa?
Atlanta.
You know the A we talking about.
Hey man, listen, man. It is. I mean, of course. The thing is, the Atlanta, New York, the U.S. as a whole, it's been gentrified since they bum rushed the natives. What I mean? That's the original gentrification.
That's what I'm saying? Right. And that's the ethnic cleansing. That's what we call it. Even now, we call it ethnic cleansing of the community.
No doubt, no doubt. And it's funny because I listen to folks all the time talk about white folks trying to be like us. We speak English, dressing European, and we talking about they trying to be like us.
Okay. Backwards, boy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Got it backwards, man.
Anyway, I like the way Kalanji made sure that he ain't have nothing to say about what's happening in Georgia with Kwanzaa, but that was
about. Nah. And I'm gonna say this because I'm somewhat biased. I never celebrated Kwanzaa. I have hosted. I've been involved in a couple of different Kwanzaa events with some comrades that put on, events and whatnot here. I respect the principles and whatnot. And that's about it. But I'm all for, commemorating whatever. And I just had this convo a few days ago. All for commemorating anything that is for us, by us. And I know that, of course, Maulana Karenga has his contradictions, you know what I'm saying? But we look at the plan and not the man. Some folks get it twisted and they're like, well, this one, I heard this, I heard that. That's all good. Are those the principles? Because that's what's most important. Because a lot of folks we talk about all the time, I hear people, illing on the holidays. And of course, it's all capitalism. We're clear about that. But I hear folks all the time talking about, they don't celebrate, but let them not get certain things. Let them not get a Valentine's gift. Let them not get, you know what I'm saying? Let the meals not be cooked on those days. You know what I mean? So the thing is, my question, and again, I ain't knocking how nobody get down. Whatever you do is what you do. What you eat don't make me use the bathroom. However, we have to arrive at a point where we decide that we are going to definitely, and there are alternatives, but we're definitely going to practice as a whole alternatives to whatever the colonizing tradition is. Because a lot of times we say we don't celebrate the holiday, but you still participate in the tradition. You know what I mean? And for the record, I'm all for whenever we have the opportunity to sit down with family. I understand that, you know what I'm saying? Then we get down with it. But at the same time, we have to figure out, imagine how this thing would look if we all decided to say, look, as African people, we're going to reject their deposit. You know what I mean? And we're going to only commemorate the days that we create, and we're going to spend money with people who look like us and care about us. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, that's not going to be the end all be all. However, we understand that just like what we're doing here at Black Power Media, we are creating a practice, because the thing is, we can't just link up once a week thinking that we're going to smash colonialism. It don't go like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a 24/7 thing. So our job here, we say, salute to all the brothers and sisters and comrades out there. And we're hoping that you being safe today and every day and not just getting caught up. We're not here to just be hating on how you get down with, like I said, that's your thing. You know what I mean? But how do we move collectively in a way that will be advantageous to us as a whole? You know what I mean? That's the question of the day. Word. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. I'm sorry, I know y'all didn't ask me to preach. But, this is my way of getting off of the Kwanzaa in Atlanta question.
Yeah, he still decided to go around it, but yes, hey, it's still
but I'm glad that was raised though. I think it's an important conversation to have, because when it does come to Kwanzaa, something being created, and even Karinga said that it wasn't really created as an alternative as well. So I know sometimes we talk about it as being an alternative, but that wasn't his intentions, at least coming out of his mouth. But as Africans who understand the Christianity, those who practice at least the Christianity that was given to us by the oppressor, we ain't talking about some stuff that existed before that, right? And the celebration of Christmas, these things, these are European constructs and traditions that we have picked up on, and so we look for alternatives, things that we could practice that are more African in its tradition and practice. So, but I think it's important. I'm glad you raise the practice of Kwanzaa, and to each his own. I think it's important though, to understand that it doesn't stop with Kwanzaa. Like, we, as revolutionaries, which we should be, and understanding that we are at war, Kwanzaa, I mean, it's not a revolutionary practice. I mean, to be honest, but I think like there's principles. If we was to carry those principles beyond Kwanzaa, we can make it into something revolutionary. But when you're in those spaces, like, we should be organizing and having discussion. We can revolutionize Kwanzaa, but I think like the practice of it right now is sort of just like, a sort of like a celebration thing. We're going to get together, but like, what's next? And I think the only people that really have those type of conversations is people who are like more revolutionary minded, and it's about organizing the community. We go in those spaces, and that's our objective. We thinking about, okay, how can we organize folks and go? We talk about cooperative economics. All right, like let's really practice this, right? And it's not just about those 7 days. So I think that's important, understanding that history and so forth, man. This is a discussion to be had.
I'm glad you raised that, because again, and definitely, I don't mean to just come in and y'all. I know you already had a game plan going and whatnot. I come in busting like I was on time, like Natasha be doing. You know what I mean? But
I was here in the beginning. But anyway,
please, Natasha, we know you was late. We just. But anyway,
it's early. It's like 7 something in the morning on Christmas. We all on time, man.
we got coal in our eyes. But what I was going to say though, because you mentioned like it not being revolutionary, right? And I think that there's a thin line between revolution and culture, right? And I think that culture without revolution breeds confusion. Revolution without culture breeds confusion. Excuse me. Because you'll be thinking that because you're talking about revolution, that revolution is about you and I. Sometimes we get caught up in European ideas, thoughts, and even foundation goals, etc. When in fact some of this wasn't necessarily built for us. Now, of course, we're not going to get into what came first, the revolution or the egg, but I'm simply saying that oftentimes folks abandon African culture. You'll find certain platforms and certain individuals that don't want to speak about Africa. They only speak about Africa when it's something, some type of phenomenon, some type of, what's going on in the Sahel right now. You know what I'm saying? They usually speak about Africa in terms of defeat. You know what I'm saying? What's going on in the Congo? What's going on in Rwanda, certain places, whatever, right? The Sudan. And most of them don't even speak about that. We've had those discussions. But the thing is, we have to be clear as African people, when we're talking about African revolution, when we talk about revolution, we're talking about African revolution. We're talking about revolution that will change and benefit us. Because none of these individuals we could talk about are not putting that, none of these individuals are putting others before themselves. You understand what I'm saying? No matter who you want to name, you could talk about Marx, you could talk Mao, Lenin, whoever. They were talking about their people. And this must be properly understood, because sometimes, folks get into, well, the Panthers studied this and that. So that's not what we're talking about. That's irrelevant. What we're saying is, regardless of who studied what, we can still study any particular type of practice and make it work to our best interests. But we get caught up in saying, okay, it's just a class struggle. It's more than class struggle. We came into the game, it wasn't just about class as far as African people. You understand what I'm saying? We came in as what? Surplus labor. We didn't come in as workers fighting for workers' rights. We weren't on a plantation requesting days off. We was talking about freedom. We was talking about liberation. And I think that we have to understand that, because we'll be confused and tricked by other individuals into fighting the fight for them. Now, there's some people that's watching this right now that's going to be on smoke. Oh, man, there he go. You know what I'm saying? Because many of these people, African people, are cowards. They're cowardice when it comes to talking about us. They have a problem with our pigmentation. They have a problem with our melanin. They have a problem with our culture, because we're not looked at as being victorious outside of whatever type of fantasy world we want to live in. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about ancient Kemet. We could talk about we were all kings and queens, like there was no servants. You know what I'm saying? Like we all was just at the top of the pyramid flying high. You know what I mean? So we got to deal with this thing in a way that that benefits us. And if whatever revolution you're talking about don't benefit African people, then we shouldn't be talking about that type of revolution. And that's not to say that we can't be allies and comrades, so on and so forth. But like every other civilized country on this planet, civilized nation on this planet, what's in it for us?
And how does it benefit us? Because obviously within nations, people are always thinking about when nations decide on, in particular, like the way in which society should be structured. What are the norms? What are the practices? What are the taboos? What are the, all of these different things? You're doing it to secure your nation, but not only to secure it, but to ensure its survival and that fact that it thrives for generations, generations and years. So if it's not doing that, you got to always, that's how you check back to see what's going on. I also do think like we're talking about in terms of Kwanzaa, and the importance of having something that is an alternative. We, when we think about the protracted struggle that we're in for liberation, we're thinking about, where it's even if we think about like the creation of Kwanzaa, what are all of the things that came before to, that were the foundation to get to the point where we said, okay, let's think about what we can create. Let's think about how we can, actually go back to Africa and look at all the things like that we can create around those things, that we can create around the concept of reconnecting to our African culture, reconnecting to that kind of cultural continuity that exists. And so I think it's part of the process. We know that it's not the end goal. And was mentioning before, Mulana Karenga, probably maybe he didn't create it as an alternative, but we know that we've been looking toward moving away from for all through the process of liberation, right? You're liberating yourself away from this system. So that means also liberating yourself away from those things that have been thrust upon you by the system, like we're talking about. And so when you're throwing yourself, getting away from those things, what are you replacing it with? And
Right.
so even if, at the time you don't create it as a replacement, at some point you're moving toward replacing it. You're moving toward changing it. You're moving toward creating something that is for you, and that, yes, it may exist in this way today, but that doesn't mean that, as we continue to further fight toward liberation and create for ourselves things that reflect us and reflect our culture and history, and reflect the way that in which we want to be and see ourselves and move as a people, that those things will not eventually get to the point where, okay, they will replace, or that they'll change, but that they're changing on the path toward us creating something more, right? Creating something that is, we could have Kwanzaa today, but, we can keep building and think about, okay, how do we then get to a place where, like, okay, yeah, this is something that we've created, and this is something that we're going to hold on to, and, we're going to tweak and continue to make as good as it can get, or is as great as it can be, because we know that it's going to, like, feed our souls in that kind of way, in terms of what I'm talking about. It's like, not just mentally, but also spiritually. So I think that, like, all of these things, and thinking about today's time, these are things that we're in the process of. We're within that, long continuous struggle. We're not at the end of it. We're within it. And so these things exist as a avenue towards something greater for us to, to create and to do.
And to your point, how does it impact and translate for future generations, right? So some of us, we remember Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, so on and so forth. Since you mentioned them as far as that particular program, forgive me, I didn't catch what the program was about. Totally, I know it's Kwanzaa related, right? But I can remember the contradictions that and the issues that Dr. Clark had with Maulana Karanga around Kwanzaa and just him as an individual, right? So it's kind of like, for folks who have been around, even seeing him on that particular program, you know what I'm saying? The celebration, right? It's like, okay, boom. How does it translate to, again, future generations? What does it mean? How do we define it? How do we not define it? How do we put it in perspective? How do we, move beyond, like you said, just the word revolution, just the word culture? You know what I mean? And what does it look like? The beautiful thing about what we're doing here on the Rise Up, Black Power Media, we charge colonialism, all of that, all of what we're doing is about documentation. This is things that our ancestors have done before us. This is what the Gil Nobles have done. This is what, the Tony Browns and folks like that have done before us. This is what the Lambe Braffs and so on and so forth were attempting to do as far as just documentation. So when you look at our work and our efforts, it's not about how many people like our platform. It's not about who likes what guest is on. You know what I'm saying? We are documenting, and we're attempting to educate and inform not just us here today, but generations ahead. Imagine if we didn't have that documentation of Dr. Clark, or imagine if we didn't have that Malcolm documentation, or that Garvey documentation. You know what I mean? Where would we be? We would constantly be on a hamster wheel, running around trying to reinvent a situation. They say there's nothing new under the sun. We cool with that. We understand that. So in essence, none of us invented or created anything. We might have refined, or we might have put it in perspective, but the principles have always been there. We can call it whatever name we want to call it, but the principles have always been there. But how do we take those principles and put them into practice? How do we take Kwanzaa, as Ikemba was saying a little while earlier, how do you revolutionize Kwanzaa? How do you turn Kwanzaa into something other than we all just hop up and show up in our best kente cloth in our best what do you call them? Not boobas. What do you call the joints? I'm sorry, forgive me.
What is the one with the long shirt and the pants? Is that what you're talking about?
Just the whole overthrow. I'm trying to think about that, and forgive me, man. Y'all gonna take my culture card, but but how do we go past the attire? Let's say that for all practical purposes.
Oh, dashiki.
Not dashiki. There was another. I think is it a booba? I can't think of the name of the joint, man. Forgive me.
Agbada.
We come back to it.
Hey, the time to try to show her. She over there.
Hey, as they would say on social media when they don't like your question, Google it.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, again, I support again the practice of anything that's going to bring us to a better space, as African and quote unquote colonized people, man. What's gonna bring about peace. To me, that's what revolution is all about. You know what I'm saying? For folks who don't know, we're not fighting because we're angry. We're not fighting because we just want to call crackers out or that we hate the state. We're fighting for peace.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So unfortunate you got to go to war just to get peace. But anyway, what we got going, man?
Because somebody else's peace is dependent on your misery.
Exactly.
So you got to go to war. But I'll just say one last thing in terms of contradictions, really quickly. I think also too is within any society, you're going to have, society, groups of people, you're going to have contradictions, but the point is to work through the contradictions. You work through them. You should be allowed to, work through your contradictions and move despite the contradictions, because, if you don't do nothing, because it's like, okay, because you have contradictions, you're not gonna, move and keep doing it and, try other things and do any of that stuff. No, that's how you get to where you got to go. You got to keep moving. You got to move through the contradictions and work through the contradictions on your way to where you got to be.
No doubt.
So we want to jump into a Black Power break real quick, and we come back with some stories for the people.
Well, real quick,
I want to shout out our brother Isaac. You know what I'm saying? Who in the background? Yo, Isaac, you hung up on me earlier, man. You colder than the white man for that. But shout out to our brother on production today. You know what I'm saying? Y'all said we got a Black Power break. I'm sorry, forgive me.
Well,
I just got here. Are we breaking already?
20 seconds. Uhuru. Oh, y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah,
I feel like you responded to me. But hey, I'm just trying to make sure, man, because maybe I'm talking too low. But no, I just want to the point of revolutionizing Kwanzaa. The reason I'm bringing it up too is before you jumped on, we was going through just the different Kwanzaa events that was happening, and I'm going through the list, and some of these Kwanzaa events are being celebrated, or events are happening at the public library and the museum, and it just takes me back to Dr. Wilson when he talks about when other people are celebrating your holidays, then it's not revolutionary. It's a problem when your enemies can participate in your cultural practices. And that's what I see, happening with Kwanzaa. Like when I was in New York, they had the Kwanzaa event at the Museum of Natural History. I remember going back to this like years ago, man, maybe like 10 to 12 years. I'm sure they probably still do it. I don't know. But, just to see the enemy colonizers, engaging in these same practices, it shows that there's some contradictions in the celebration of Kwanzaa. So it's just something that we have to, be conscious of.
Just to say something really quickly to that. I know I was the one who suggested the Black Power break, but but I think the thing about it, I would say, like, I don't think it's a contradiction of Kwanzaa in terms of, these institutions deciding that they're going to put it on. I think it's, the move of the state. That's what they do, right? Just like when we think about Juneteenth, Black people have been celebrating Juneteenth. Then they want to say, okay, well, we're going to make it a national holiday. And then, corporations start to create ice cream that's, you know, and plates and streamers and all this other nonsense. But I think it's one, the way in which that is part of what the state does. It captures, you know, all of the things.
But I think it's something inherent in the practice, though.
But I also think, I don't think it's something inherent in the practice. I think
they won't celebrate Black August. I guarantee.
No, but they will.
What I'm saying is that I think it's not inherent within Kwanzaa itself. I think it's the way in which it's become, like the people who, you know, because you have people who are celebrating Kwanzaa in a revolutionary way, and then you have people who take it up because of this idea that, like, okay, yeah, this is a Black thing, but but are also leaning toward, okay, integration in a way that, like, okay, we want to be more integrated into the state, and so therefore if they take up our stuff, we'll be, or like you have when they put Black people, Black faces in high places, and it's just like, oh, you guys celebrate Kwanzaa, right? So let's put Kwanzaa here. And it's like, you were never really celebrating Kwanzaa in that kind of way, but because you're in a particular position and because corporations want to look a certain way, if you have particular types of people in those organizations, then they'll take it up. But I don't think it's within itself, if you guys know what I'm trying to say.
No. So to your point, it's not a contradiction, it's a co-optation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it is an effort to co-opt and water down the situation, regardless of what it is you have. And you mentioned Black August, keeping it funky. I mean, when you talk about Black August, there's been all types of attempts to do all types of things by not just Europeans, but Africans as well. You know what I'm saying? There was one point that one particular organization, and you know, I'm not throwing no rocks, I'm just saying what happened, man. One particular organization actually had trademarked Black August. You understand what I'm saying? And that right there, of course, you can't trademark a revolutionary thing. Matter of fact, you know, since cats be, you know, keeping it funky, one of the owners of the old platform that I was on, you know what I'm saying, what was the person who trademarked it. You know what I'm saying? And told me this years later. You know what I'm saying? But and I was a part of the Black August Organizing Committee, part of the Black August Organizing Committee, the folks who actually came up with the concept of Black August. You understand what I'm saying? So there was friction behind that. But the reasoning behind it was the reason behind the trademark, which wasn't sanctioned, and they eventually gave the trademark up. But the reason behind it was like, okay, boom, we didn't want you know, the corporations to take it over. You understand what I'm saying? That was the reasoning. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you look at Black August right now, Black August is being co-opted because, again, knowing the principles and the tenets of Black August, being a part of the Black August Organizing Committee for over 20 years, the East Coast coordinator at one point for well over a decade, and the standing chairman for a year, I say to you that there are a number of different organizations that are added and that have added and subtracted to the meaning of Black August to fit their own agenda. Certain communities. You understand what I'm saying? And they highlight individuals, some of which had nothing to do with Black August. So that is a form of co-optation, no matter how you look at it. Just because I'm Black, I just can't take something and do what I want to with it. Because what happens is, I'm gonna wrap it up, but real quick, these particular organizations, a lot of these organizations that do that, they receive funding from these crackers. So it's still being co-opted and it's still being state-led if you're getting monies and resources from your oppressor, directly or indirectly.
Okay. All right. I don't know if I'm going to concede, but I can meet you halfway, right? But I think that I know I had said that Kwanzaa inherently, I don't mean to say inherent, but I think like in its foundation though, from the very beginning, it wasn't created as a revolutionary like practice. There wasn't a revolutionary element, you know, to it. Like the cultural part, which I think is important, you know, I think is very important and our people need it. But I think that there's a from this foundation. It was easy. It's an easy practice, I think, for the state and others, for colonizers, to really get involved in it, because there's nothing about Kwanzaa that's saying that, you know, you guys can't be a part of this. There's nothing like about Kwanzaa that's saying that, you know, like we're trying to transform, you know, the state or go up against the state. Like there's nothing about the practice that you get. Now we may come and bring that element to it, but you know, the people, Milana Karenga, when they was practicing Kwanzaa from the beginning, and that's why there was like the revolutionary element in our community that was like really against that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a point like I ain't really mess with it, but you know that was you know that was a point in my life. But I think like with Black August, yeah, there may be some co-opting that's happening, but I think like it's from its very foundation is revolutionary. As long as like those revolutionaries is still practicing it, they can keep that element of it alive. And so it'll be difficult for the state to justify why they are uplifting people like Comrade Jonathan Jackson. Like, I mean, Jonathan, think about that, right? Like that would be crazy, you know. Not just George Jackson. We talk about Jonathan Jackson, man. You know,
what you
like,
mean?
I just can't, as far as like with Comrade, you know, Jonathan Jackson did. You know, right. Yeah, like, can you imagine the state and people? Nah, I can't see it. Like, there's just an element of it, man. We uplifting people like Nat Turner, the Haitian Revolution. Like, you don't really have that with Kwanzaa. White people can feel comfortable practicing the principles of Kwanzaa. You know, cooperative economics. You know, collective responsibility. Everybody, you get what I'm saying, Natasha? Like,
I get what you're saying. I still would disagree, but.
All right.
A question.
Go ahead. Me and Natasha have been arguing.
Do you think that like white people should be comfortable waving the red, black, and green flag?
Ooh, that gets under my skin.
Right.
Hey, for all y'all that's looking too, I want y'all to know it gets under my skin.
Before you even go that deep. Because he's stuck on the comparison between Black August and Kwanzaa, and I hate agreeing with Natasha. Come on, man, work with me. But check this out though. Mm-hmm. That's like asking, are they comfortable with Angela Davis because she's a integral part of Black August? Remember the Jonathan Jackson weapons was allegedly hers.
Who's comfortable with Angela Davis though?
White folks.
Yeah.
What white folks? We're talking about though.
White people in general.
We're talking about the state ain't comfortable.
And when we talk about white people, when we say white people, we mean it in
Is
general.
It just the left though? You talking about white left, right?
No, we're not talking about no white left. We talking about
Angela Davis, man. She been on chill move, man. I don't even want to have that conversation, bro.
What? 50 years?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But am I wrong?
Nah.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. No, I get what you're. I agree with Kalanji. I think it's the same thing. I feel like, and the thing is too is just like within moving toward liberation, you're going to have different kinds of things that you create. You're going to have ones that are quote unquote more like, you know, what people would call, I guess, like more radical or include more radical elements that are that are very clearly against the state, right? And then that you're going to have those, it's not very clearly against the state, but it is against the state in a sense that you're, like I was saying before, you're creating something to move away from what has been thrown upon you and what you have lost in the process of that being thrown upon you. And so that's why I was saying the thing about the red, black, and green flag, right? Because the red, black, and green flag, we know, like Marcus Garvey said, this is for the Black African nation. This is the flag for that. But
even with the Garvey flag, the green originally was for the Irish and their resistance against colonialism as well. Like, so, you know, like that's something Black folk don't like either. I'll be trying. I don't know. I'll be trying to be nice, man. But
hey, put it out there. If the truth is the truth. If that's
truth
what
is the truth. Sometimes I don't like the truth though, but it is what it is. But I mean, come on, man. Y'all can't disagree with that. Like Kwanzaa, these element, like it needs to be revolutionized. Like white people cannot feel comfortable. Like it can't be celebrated in no damn public Philadelphia public library. White folks feeling comfortable. Huh?
Do white people feel comfortable do all white people, any white people who want to feel comfortable saying, oh, I'm going to celebrate Hanukkah? I know it's a religious holiday and Kwanzaa is not, but that's a question of terms of like, okay, this is clearly a group of people who have a particular type of celebration that they do. Do any white people feel comfortable saying like, you know what, this year I'm celebrating Hanukkah?
Should black folks feel comfortable about selling?
Hold on. You do white folks? Yeah.
No, I'm saying those who are not Jewish.
If they wanted to, they would feel. They don't feel like, oh, you know, these revolutionary folks. You know, I ain't messing with these revolutionary Jews celebrating Hanukkah. Like maybe I'm not understanding like the question, but
I guess my point in asking that question is that like, unless you're Jewish, even if you're a white person, you're not celebrating Hanukkah.
Okay.
Unless you convert over to Judaism, right? Because you know that it's not.
Or the 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? Should black folks feel comfortable celebrating that? You know what I'm saying? You got black leprechauns walking around. You got the 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you said, Kimber, you know, and I'm with you. But my thing is like
that's a contradiction. Yeah,
it's a massive. I mean, like celebrating anything American is a contradiction.
Oh,
however, it's like black folks do it. Black folks would be marching in the St. Patrick's Day parade. You know what I'm saying?
But that's different. I think that's a bad comparison. Black folks celebrating the 4th of July. That's black folks. That's white folks sitting back like, yeah, we got these Negroes. Go out there and buy some fireworks.
Is that they doing? I live in
Georgia. Go get some fireworks.
I think it's a matter of whoever. Like if it's your group of people, your celebration, your practices, it's a matter of you drawing the lines as a people. You determine who gets in and who gets out. This whole conversation around who can be at the barbecue, who cannot be, none of them. If you're not black, you can't come to the barbecue. Like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to draw the lines. If you're not black, you can't celebrate Kwanzaa. No, we don't want to bring it here. Like, I understand you want to, you want to recognize and be inclusive. Okay.
I was with Natasha for a minute. I knew she's going. Listen, man.
That's what I wanted the people to hear.
You have to determine where your boundaries are. Every group of people determines their boundaries, right? Because everything ain't for everybody. Even within, we know that even within societies, even people within those societies, sometimes you have secret societies, sometimes you have, different parts of within a society that are particular for particular things. And you're supposed to, draw your own boundaries according to what is best for you. And black people are being treated like we're hoes for the streets. Like we for everybody. Anybody can have us. Anybody can come in and do whatever they want. Like it. No, you have to draw your boundaries, right? If it was a person, you would say like, don't let anybody, don't let anybody violate you and come into your space and do whatever they want whenever they feel like it. But for some reason, we've been told because we're an oppressed people and we're supposed to, as a part of us, showing that our humanity that they deny that we have, that we should be opening ourselves up to anything and everybody can come in, so that way we're showing how we understand. And no, you have to draw your boundaries in order for you to uplift and protect yourself and be able to create, especially when you're in a position of being oppressed and you have the kind of history that African people have. You have to decide to draw the boundaries, and that's simply what it is. No, if you're not black, don't celebrate Kwanzaa. Don't do it.
Hey, I unite. I'm with you. Natasha.
You're watching the Rise Up Morning Show. My militant comrades here.
I'm in check now. I'm good. That's
good now.
Ahead, the uprisers, man, they're gonna come after me. I better stop.
Listen, though. all jokes aside, I'm with what both of you are saying. The only issue that I have is that our lack of organization renders us powerless, right? So what we're saying, it sounds great in theory, but in practice, when you don't have the power to shut it down, then it don't really mean nothing, because white folks will come up in your face with it. And I run into people here, in particularly Georgia, and shout out to the folks who sincerely support the mission and understand it, right? But there are often, white folks that say, well, my child's black, I could do whatever I want to do. You understand what I'm saying? What do you say to them? Should they be allowed to wave the red, black, and green flag because they had black in them?
Oh, you talking about the child?
No, the adult. The parent.
You said they have black in them. I'm like,
had black in them.
But I get what you mean now.
I'm just saying.
I think that's a rhetorical question, Kalai.
Yeah, no, I'm just, forgive me, y'all. I know some folks out there like,
hey, the producers is yelling at us right now, man.
Hey, man.
Let's cut to a Black Power break.
We've been doing that for 30 minutes. Rise
All right, watching the Rise Up Morning Show.
On today, we were supposed to talk about Christmas. And one of the reasons we were supposed to talk about Christmas is because a lot of Africans are going to bankrupt yourselves during this process now. I've read someplace where people on average would spend from $1,000 to $2,000 just on the holidays alone. And that so another place I read that people would spend a quarter of their income just on the Christmas holidays. People who got credit cards and stuff like that will be paying will not have paid this Christmas bills off next Christmas, right? This is the kind of stuff that people are going to be involved in. Now, I'm mentioning this for a number of reasons. One is because it's a false, hollow holiday that's been created for the purpose of, one, stealing your money. That's one of the reasons that the holiday is there. But another thing is that it helps to consolidate the identity of people in this country and in the white world. And to the extent that you are part of the Christmas things, it helps to consolidate your identity with the white world. Because it is a holiday that's among all the other kinds of holidays that white people experience and share and celebrate. It is one of those holidays that constitutes the national identity of white people. In the absence of having your own philosophy, your own identity, or even being able to know who the hell you are, then you end up celebrating your oppression. You end up celebrating your own bad treatment. That's a problem. That's why even though we see everything that happens to us, who in the hell has ever known the police department to serve and protect? In real life, how in the hell can an African stand up and say, I thought the police was here to serve and protect? When every experience we have with the police department is getting knots on our head and getting shot in our communities and things like that. But the reason we can say that is because we buy into the philosophy of white power, white nationalism, the whole white identity, including Christmas. And Christmas ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. Because if Jesus was tried to come to this country today, the police department would put a knot on his ass if walking around here barefoot talking about, he'd have a modern day lynching. Jesus wouldn't stand a chance, you'll hear. So it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. It's got to do with that fat white man, right, who y'all teach, and then, if it's not him, a Negroid fat person who comes with all the goodies and stuff like that, which is a terrible lie, and it's a terrible betrayal of our conditions, because to the extent, and we feed our children, well, he don't know no better, or teach him better. Right. Teach your child better. To have your child believing that some fat white guy come down a damn chimney to bring him something is insane. As hard as African people have to work to get every damn thing that we got, people selling drugs, doing everything just to try to keep up, and you're talking about a fat white man brought it to you? And it's an offense. It's an offense against the sensibilities. Your children can't even grow up with good heads on their bodies. And if they don't get it, what does it mean if your child doesn't get it? If your child doesn't get it, they say Santa Claus brings things to people who are what? Good. Everybody knows that. So if your child doesn't get something, then it has to identify with something being wrong. It's because it's not good. Why doesn't your child really not get what your child needs? Because he lives in a world that is hostile to black people. And that child needs to know that the world is hostile to black people. Did you see that song on television? You see all that good stuff that them white people got there? That's stuff that should be coming to you, but it's been stolen. That's what your child should be taught, that at least your child then can arm himself or herself to struggle for a better world. But if you're teaching your child some fat white guy is supposed to bring it over, and then teach the child not to pick up a 9mm and take it, when you see the fat guy moving through the community, it's a crime against the community. You can't do that. There's so many other things that's associated with this thing, and I'm not going to try to get into it. But I'm saying that we are trapped. And you're trapped by it. And I know that you're having problems with this now because you want to teach your little child about Santa Claus and Christmas and even me. I mean, and today, you know, you're walking through the mall and they're playing with your psyche because you was this high. You've been hearing all this Christmas music and stuff. It makes you nostalgic and teary-eyed. You've been had. You've been taught. You've been misused, as Malcolm X.
Listen, man, you know, there y'all go. You know what I'm saying? You're going to talk about the fat white man coming through the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised that Chairman O'Malley could talk about this fat white guy, but I'm all for what he's saying. And, you know, what he say, if you don't teach your child to get a 9mm and take back what the fat white guy stole when he come through your community, you know, that's a metaphor like a motherfucker. You talk about the avaricious businessmen. You talk about white folk who come through with empty pockets and leave with wheelbarrows full of money, like these like a lot of these Arab store owners, a lot of these other foreign folks who come through and just stick us up. So yeah, shout out to Chairman O'Malley. Glad he got off. I know we get into some news, but I also want to shout out Natasha, Boona, what's his name, Malika, and Gerald Horn. I don't know if y'all mentioned that when y'all came on, but it was definitely an awesome show. Make sure you all check out Amanda, which comes on, will drop every fourth Monday of the month. They finally doing something right at Kimber. I'm just kind of surprised. Natasha and Boona and y'all got Gerald Horn finally got him locked in. I don't know how much y'all paying them, but good stuff.
8 a.m. every fourth Monday of the month.
Oh, now you want to shout it out after I did.
You forgot the time. How people, they just gonna come onto the show and onto the platform.
Hey,
and just
Ujima, y'all, Ujima. Just look at it as collective work and responsibility.
Exactly.
You know? I got each other's back. See, I gotta get the principles in this joint.
You threw the alley. You threw the Kalanji through the alley. You know, I got it into the hoop.
There you go. That's what I want. More of that. That's what I want to see.
Well, I tell you, man. Thank you, Isaac, for working these boards, but you're supposed to snatch them off when they start talking crazy. That's the only thing, man. The only issue we have here. But nah, they supposed to be watching already. Ain't no 8 a.m. They supposed to be watching 24/7. You got no content.
They gotta have it glued. They gotta be glued to it. They gotta have it on all the time.
All the time. What we got coming up? What kind of news we got?
Well, I'm gonna start off with a story from about France, the way which it trains and equips and directs terrorists in the Sahel, which it was said by the former Chad's Minister of Justice. So I'm just gonna go through it really quickly a little bit, and then just that we could have a little commentary on it, and we can move to another story. So I just want to just point out a couple of key things about the story. So right at the beginning, it talks about how in the Sahel region, it's been found that France provides training and equipment and direction to terrorist groups, notably the jihadist groups in northern Mali, Boko Haram in the Lake Chad Basin, and groups operating in northern Niger and Burkina Faso. Ahmad Mohamed Hassan, former Chadian Minister of Justice, who explained this to the news outlets. And we know that Paris has been using terrorism to destabilize regimes that escaped its control, in particular when we're thinking about what's going on right now in the Alliance of Sahel states. So as a way to try and destabilize this new formation that's happening within Africa and challenging the presence of the French over there. He also mentioned that Paris's attempts to destabilize the country countries that have liberated themselves do not work because people have become aware. So that there's a growing awareness within these countries that we've mentioned before that is pushing the French out, and also making sure that there's this kind of like awareness that allows for them to continue to work toward their full liberation. But we know that the French, that is not beneficial to them, so they're going to continue to do these attempts to destabilize these countries. It's also noted that the withdrawal of French troops was viewed as with relief, and that people were saying that France is now perceived by African populations as the real cause of their poverty, their misery, and the domination over them. So like the veil that France had created over these countries has been lifted. And while not only the veil has been lifted, also they've been kicked out, and these countries are seeking to really assert their sovereignty and also assert their right to liberation and peace, as we're talking about, right? They're working toward their own peace, and realizing that a major part of the reason why they haven't had peace is because France has been there. And we know that like after the independence movement of the African colonies, the French made many of those countries sign these deals, these Franc-Afrique deals, in which the French were able to pretty much control their economies, the politics, ensure that they put in place corrupt leaders in the places that they did not assassinate the leaders that were there already, in order for these countries to be able to really have independence. And so it's no surprise, obviously, that the French are doing this, but we know that they always try and cover these things up. So it's important for us to continue to let people know that as we're seeing the formation of the Sahel states, and we're seeing these countries push France out, that they're going to have a response, right? Because we know that they want to make sure that they maintain their control. And so with their response is going to be similar to their responses in the past, where they will work with, the CIA and the British and other European intelligence services to try to overthrow and murder and terrorize these countries, because they're seeking their full independence and their right to practice their own and assert their own sovereignty. And so that's really what's going on here. But what's happening is that the people know, and they're not letting it go. They not, and we have to make sure that we're letting the people know right now in this time, and not after the fact when documents come out later that, the CIA and France and all these other countries were working to destabilize these countries. But we need to know it now, because we know that they're going to be putting out alternative stories and trying to make people think that nothing's going on here, while they're trying to destabilize these countries and the movements for freedom that they are currently engaging in. So you guys can add on.
No, definitely appreciate the story. I mean, I'm just, as you going through what France is doing, all I can see is the pattern of France destabilization. They have a history, of course, of destabilization, especially when they lose their grip, their power over African people. Haiti, Congo, because I know the Belgium was there, but France was there helping destabilize it with the United States of America. We see even in the Sahel, you know, now that's part of the reason why they were kicking France out, Mali that is, and Burkina Faso, because France was over there exacerbating this destabilization that already was occurring because of the conflict that was going on with other sectors of the community, quote unquote, you know, terrorists. So, you know, this is something France has a long history. I think we was talking about Algeria earlier, and as far as them burning, doing some sort of slash and burn after they was, you know, forced out of Algeria. So I don't know. It's just this, you know, colonizers type people. You know, they, again, like if I can't play, you know, I'm taking my basketball, you know, sort of thing, and then come back again. That's something that we have to worry about them coming back, because there's still, you know, we got to remember there's still like a economic interest that these countries have, and so they're going to figure out some way. Central Africa Republic, for example, you know, where you have like CIA agents being caught in Central Africa trying to destabilize the country or overthrow the regime of Central Africa Republic. But France is there as well, you know, helping exacerbate the ethnic conflicts that are going on over there. But what we have to like really deepen and look into when we look at these stories and like what's happening, like how intricate it is as far as just the involvement of these European nations in there, because a lot of it is like indirect. You know, when we talk about like blood diamonds and all that, there's a lot of like blood minerals, blood, you know, cash crops, like a lot of that throughout Africa that we don't really make the connection with, because, you know, it's indirectly being taken out of these countries and given to like a third party. It may leave Central Africa and end up in Uganda and then being sold to, you know, European nations. So those sort of like connections take place. So I think those are things that we have to look at when we're looking at France, even though they're being pushed out, is like how they are still connected with these economies and who, you know, who they're supporting on the ground, because this is how coup d'etats happen as well. And last thing I'll say, we was covering you know, I think Chad and Senegal, and how they are you know, demanding that French troops leave and actually push them out. France are taking their troops out of these countries. But how now France, though, is developing this trade relationship with Nigeria. So they still find a way to get in that region and do whatever they have planned. You know what? You know, now this is an important story, man. I appreciate you bringing this up.
I'll just add on real quick that when you mentioned like, yeah, what they did in Algeria, but also in Guinea, when Ahmed Sékou Touré refused to, you know, sign the agreements that were going to limit like the national sovereignty of the country, the French destroyed much of their infrastructure as well. And we also know, like in Togo, they also assassinated the president at the time as well. So, and then replaced them with a neo-colonial president, the one who actually killed the president of Togo, and they replaced him with a neo-colonial leader. So we know that, like we were saying before, like these are the things that France does.
Yeah, these are things you're gonna have to watch out for. That's why my Saheli, you know, brothers and sisters, man, you know, we know the history, so I get concerned, you know, about what could happen over there. But that's revolution, though, man. Anything, just got to be prepared. You know, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, you know, sort of thing. But I hope we learn from past mistakes and just tighten our security, and, you know, understand that, you know, the war is still on. The war is still on until, you know, these people crawl back into their, you know, them caves, man.
No doubt. No doubt.
So they go back into them dark places where they can't be seen no more.
Brother sounded like X-Clan right now, sending the troglodytes back to the cave. Voodoo, running for my magic. That this is not just France. This is what Europeans do when they talk about destabilization. We look at this story right here, where about Niger. They're talking about authorities. They mention how authorities suspended BBC for fake news. They say, according to Telshur, reports say that Niger authorities have suspended BBC broadcast for 3 months following the broadcaster's report on an alleged attack that killed over 90 soldiers and 40 civilians. The Nigerian government denies the attack occurred and said it ain't never happened. The BBC is full of shit, and this is an attempt. This is a false and intended attempt to destabilize the country. Again, we're talking about the Sahel, so you see two different stories and two different ways or missions to destabilize this what's going on in that particular Sahel region. In a statement from Communications Minister Ralio Sidi Mohammed, he indicated that the BBC transmissions were suspended immediately across all radio stations rebroadcasting its content. It said this affects popular BBC programs, including broadcasts in Hausa, Niger's most widely spoken language. The suspension is to last 3 months, and the BBC has not yet commented on the suspension. Other broadcasters, such as Radio France Internationale, also reported on an alleged attack, citing a similar number of casualties. The Nigerian government announced it will file a complaint against RFI for incitement to genocide and spreading falsehoods. Again, you see France rearing its ugly head and seeing and making efforts. Niger, along with Burkina Faso and Mali, has been facing a jihadist insurgency for over a decade. All three countries are currently ruled by military juntas with a clear rejection of Western hegemony. This is exemplified by the expulsion of French troops from their territories and their efforts to curb French influences in the Sahel, a region containing most of France's former colonies. So, it's not as you mentioned, it ain't no new thing, as Gil Scott-Heron would say, but at the same time, they attack by any means. It's not just land, air, and sea. Propaganda is the way of the walk. So you confuse people and you make them think that, and that's what they do in inner cities here in the U.S. They create crime where there is no crime. You understand what I'm saying? They put the drugs in the community. They put the guns in the community. They increase poverty. You understand what I'm saying? They create food deserts. They make situations where folks can't afford, white folks and others, corporations come in and buy up the properties and raise the property prices, the property value. And before long, what you call gentrification or land grab, they decide that, okay, boom, the property taxes are raised. So now your grandmother, my grandmother, your cousin, your nephew, you, me, etc., we can't afford to stay in the community because of taxes alone. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what they do. They create situations where there are no situations. So again, to your point earlier, Ikemba, not just the Africans that are part of the Sahelian alliance. Not only them, but Africans and colonized people home and abroad have to watch themselves. They got to be careful because of the fact that these folks are devious. And this is how they do, again, you're talking about the inner city. This is when they can come in and they say, okay, we need more police because you look on the news and such was robbed and there was a shootout and you looking like, damn, that's my block right there. I ain't even hear nothing about that. 4 people got killed over here. Nobody in your neighborhood heard about it because it didn't happen. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not a new thing, but again, then the folks who don't come outside, the elders and other folks who are afraid to be a part of the community themselves, they look at it and say, yeah, we need more police, man, because they robbing people out there, they breaking in cars, they doing such and such. And before long, these same cops, they come gun their sons down, gun them down, innocent people, so on and so forth. And they let the quote unquote crime fester And before long, they're locking people up. People are being murdered for real. People are starving. And all of a sudden, it's a whole new complexion. Starbucks is here. White folks jogging in the community at 11, 12 o'clock at night. And old Brooklyn becomes new Brooklyn. And you can't afford to stay there. Without a doubt. You got a dog park now. You know what I'm saying? Dig this.
Old Atlanta becomes the new Atlanta, Like,
oh, no question. It is, without a doubt. I mean, you got places where there wasn't even a children's park, but now there was no money for a children's park, but all of a sudden there's a dog park. You know what I'm saying? So, this is how they, like Nas say around here, this up was get down. This how it goes down in the hood. But anyway, so this is
our comrade Isaac wanted to chime in and say that, Malcolm X said, how is it that we have more crime with more cops? Because the cops are the crime and the criminals.
Of course. You know what I'm saying? Just like the soldiers. You know what I'm saying? It's a microcosm of the macrocosm. These 900 plus military bases around the world, there has to be some type of war. There has to be an issue in order for them to destabilize, in order for them to take over. You know what I'm saying? It's not, the problem with the Sahel is not the people. The problem is the French mad because their asses got kicked up out of there. Mad they can't just tax these folks. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna win.
I would just also add in terms of the fake news and the propaganda. I like the fact that Niger did that, because I think when and I should have I need to look it up because I can't remember the name anymore, but there's a particular part of the government that is like organization within the government that is specifically to determine the kind of news about America that goes out to different places, right? And the kind of like stuff that America puts out there. And when we think about the way, one, that exists in terms of America deciding how they are controlling what they're putting out there, but also two, what they're putting into different places. And sometimes when we hear about like, whether it's the Middle East or in the China or maybe some other places where you hear, okay, well, these countries are not allowing this particular kind of news or these particular kind of movies or these particular kinds of media presentations into their country as a way to safeguard their people and their population, and the way in which media and propaganda can affect the way that the people understand what's happening and even understand themselves in their own history in their own country is really important. So I really like the fact that like Niger is doing this to say that, okay, we're going to control what it is that's coming to our country, because we understand that, just because it's coming from America or just because it's coming from the UK doesn't automatically mean that, is going to be something that's positive for our people, especially thinking about the other story where, it's talking about where it mentioned how the people are aware now, right? That there's an awareness growing. And so how one of the ways that they can help to when these neo-colonial powers like the US and like France and like the UK understand that there's a growing awareness, well, what do they know that is going to help to shift the minds of those people, or to confuse them in terms of that growing awareness, or to subdue that growing awareness, is to put out the propaganda, is to be able to put out the kind of news that they want to. So that I really like the fact that like this story is talking about how Niger is paying attention to what kind of media is coming into their country.
And that's one of the reasons why we at Black Power Media Reloaded are anti-mercenary media. That's why we seek media outside of the traditional US platforms. You don't need us to come on here and talk about what the US propaganda machine is talking about. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our political education team, our media team, headed by our sister Liliana, who is out there making sure that, the reports are not coming from mercenary media, because we have to know What's going on with alternative media? What's going on with independent media that's not state sponsored? Because oftentimes we look to these same outlets who are traditionally against us as a whole and traditionally against liberation, and we say, okay, boom, let's see what they're talking about. That's insane. That's like us looking to teach African history, but we're using European history books. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, man, I couldn't find nothing on. Only thing I've seen about Harriet Tubman. That's a lazy media situation. We have to be researchers. We have to say, okay, boom, if we're gonna speak to the people about what's going on, we want to make sure that we're giving them the proper propaganda. We want to make sure that they're getting the right information, because the media outlets will spin it. And yes, the government is in control of mass media here in the US and abroad. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be clear about that. So we appreciate you all supporting our efforts. And this is why we ask to continue to work with us, and show your love, support, share, like, donate, whatever you can, just to make sure that we continue to exist. I don't know what's going on in my background. It looks kind of whack over there, but it's all good.
It looks like there's an elephant standing on a ball.
Wow, too many haters out here.
In the background.
No, that's what I do look like something.
I don't know what the hell it is. That's
out of like a child's book or something. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
That's totally
crazy. But to add on though to like the media and the propaganda controlling the narrative, because I think there's a lot of important points that y'all raised, and I just want to bring it back. It's Kalanja, you have made the connection to Africans in the U.S., Africans on the continent, sort of like the same game. And, like this destabilization, which the media, forced branch of the government, working in hand with the colonizers, right, to put out this story or this narrative of a criminal element or destabilization in the country. And, these Africans, they need help. They need foreign intervention, humanitarian intervention to bring stability to a country, right? To undermine, what it is that the people are doing in that country for the best interest of African people. And this is the reason, again, just like going back, this is the reason why, the alliance of Sahel states, why they booted France out of the country. I mean, in Mali, where you have, France military dropping bombs on weddings, right, and killing civilians, where you have Ukraine providing weapons to organizations that are opposed to the governments of Mali and Burkina Faso, right, and all of that to destabilize the same country that is receiving money for weapons from the United States of America, right? So using U.S. money and weapons, right, to destabilize these countries. And so when you have this instability, it's like the waving of the arms for France or for a European nation to come and help because of the advanced technology that they have to be able to fight these type of conflicts and wars, right? But it's the same people who is creating the instability in the first place. And what the Mali people realized was, we have France over here, but France military over here, but they're causing more problems than solutions. Things aren't getting any better. This is part of the reason why they rise up, right? That's the reason why they rose up, because they felt they didn't feel protected even with France and their military in the country. So, we can do bad all by our damn self. That's the mentality, that they have and what we should have as well. But you have the same thing in America, in our communities where Africans, they create, and this is why it's important too, like the analysis in regards to just understanding that colonialism is the issue. That is the problem right there. And we need to have that conversation. We want to talk about the effects of colonialism and bringing the police in to solve that, but we never get to the root of the problem, and that's the conversation that the media doesn't want. Those discussions aren't had in the media, except on platforms like this, Black Power media.
Right on. I like how you brought that in. I don't know what my book cover just wanted to just jump on there. It just all of a sudden it was looking all weird. You said it looked like a children's book, but it was actually the artwork. So I don't even know how that happened. But
yeah, I started seeing the Beyond Cop Cities writing in the back. I was like, wait a minute, that's
you know what I'm saying? So you know what? I think that since that was hopping on, I know that there's a situation in Atlanta where the family of Tortuguita is actually suing. So maybe we can get into that article if folks don't have a problem with that. What y'all think?
Get into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you talking about go ahead. I thought you was gonna help me. See how we work over here.
You brought up an article that
I'm go right ahead. Do what you feel. Do what you feel.
Now you look, and then now he's frozen. So he's gonna come back with his article.
In the Matrix.
In the meantime, do you want to talk a little bit about
in the meantime,
the other story that we were talking
in
about?
between time, really quick while my man's in the Matrix, Trump. Are we going to it or are we going to this? All right.
No, we
don't know what's going on. But real quick, if I can, Trump talking about retaking the Panama Canal. They should have never given the Panama Canal up. That's been in the story if y'all haven't been keeping up. But of course the Panamanian people are totally, as they should, against this. They came out and rejected Trump's I'm sorry, just bringing this up. So Jose Raul Molino, he hit back on Donald Trump after Trump threatened his incoming administration may attempt to regain control over the Panama Canal. And Venezuela has come out in support. As we can see the story right here, Venezuela reaffirmed support of Panama sovereignty over the canal. And Trump, part of Trump's reasoning behind this is that he believes that America is being charged exorbitant taxes, right, tariffs to do trade, and it's hurting the American business community or corporations. So in the interest of the American economy, they're talking about reclaiming this territory. And I mean, this is some colonialist type stuff right here, man. This is imperialist vibes, man. Like, this is what they do, in the interest. And I hope our people just really see, wake up, these people in the interest of the American people, the American, especially, I mean, we talk about the power structure, we talk about the white power structure. In the interest of the white power structure, they will do the most heinous things to maintain their position of power in this world. There's when you talk about retake, whatever means they do to do that is going to be illegal. And I will guarantee that if Panama was to resist that they would create some sort of pretext to go to war with the Panamanian people. Right? They may send a Navy ship over there, and infiltrate, and some there may be an attack on that Navy ship. I know these are all hypotheticals, but this is history as well. This is how the Spanish-American War got set off. The Vietnam War is another example of there allegedly was a Vietnamese tax on some Navy ships. So it's not too far-fetched for all those people who don't know, this history. I mean, America went to war with Mexico on false pretense, right? And this is after America attempted to buy the territories of California and Texas from Mexico. But when the Mexican government wouldn't sell that territory, they went to war with them. They created some sort of conflict.
They were putting people to live in those territories
on the borders, yeah,
on the border that wasn't even theirs. And
exactly.
then they were not even just doing that; they were also killing those who were, I don't know if were they Mexicans then? Were they calling themselves Mexico? I guess so, right?
Yeah,
they were killing the Mexicans that owned the land, that had the land over there too. Like they would go and kill them, or they would say like, if you're there, or they would also send messages like, if you're there within this time, we will kill you. Like, so they were like the brutality by which, they gained that territory is like, it's again in line with the same brutality for which they got this territory with, on Turtle Island and all the other territories that they acquired.
I mean, the arrogance of these colonizers, retail. We shouldn't have gave it up. You shouldn't have had it in the first place.
Exactly.
Trump, like
what?
Wrong with you?
And the thing is too, is like, the amount that they have to pay is hard on the American businessmen. The only reason that America exists in the way that it does is because it makes it hard on every other place in the world. Like you're literally living off of the backs, in the oppression and the impoverishment, and the genocide, right, of other people. I forget who was, maybe I can't remember if it was on the show that we had with Jorah Horn, if it was, on another show on here or something else I was listening to, and they were talking about, people talk about, the kind of violence and war. I think it was, when we were talking in our last show when we had VJ Prashad, but that, there's also the genocide that is not bloody, but you are killing the people at that time. And that's the only reason that America is able to exist, and these businessmen are able to exist comfortably in the way that they do, is on the the oppression and the backs of these other people. But you want to talk about these prices are hurting them. That's nothing compared to the mass murder of the people in these countries that happen through famine, because of sanctions, through famine, because of the way in which you destroy their environments through getting oil and all this other stuff, so that you can, sit pretty on a yacht or something.
Yeah.
These folks are totally insane, man. And it's like you almost, it almost make you, it almost confuses you, because I don't think that we've ever accepted the amount of arrogance and ignorance that these bastards display. You know what I'm saying? They're like off the chain with it, man. Forgive me, I got cut off a few minutes ago. I know y'all was like, "Where's it at? Go do it!" And then all of a sudden my battery died. That was not by design. But we're gonna actually we're gonna get I was gonna talk about this story on Tortuguita, but I know that I'm planning on having his mother back on. But basically, just real quick, his parents have sued police for a civil rights violation against the slain forest defender. The parents of Rolani forest defender Manuel Esteban Paez Terán, known by their family as Manny, and many others as Tortuguita, which translates to little turtle. In Spanish, announced during a press conference that they had filed a lawsuit against the police officers responsible for the death of their child. Tortuguita's parents, Joel Paez and Belkis Terán, filed the case against the three individual law enforcement officers for killing the 26-year-old in January 2023. Paez and Terán are represented by attorneys with the law firms Spears and Filipovitz and Lovey and Lovey. According to his mother, she said, "Here we are again seeking justice for my child Manuel. This name, it means God with us. Manuel is all of our children, the one who dreams of connection with nature, the one who cares for their communities." Definitely, we're gonna keep folks updated on this particular situation. Of course, we've been following Black Power Media for a while. Had his mother, Tortuguita's mother, on RSTV about a year ago, almost a year to date. It's going on 2 years right now as far as the anniversary of his assassination, of his murder, of his death. In fact, that particular interview is inside of the book I have here, Beyond Cop City. So definitely, check that out if you get the opportunity to. But there's so much going on. In fact, shout out to Reverend Kiana. Reverend Kiana recently had a panel with her on the panel. I was actually supposed to be on that panel as well, but we had some time differences. But we're definitely, hoping that they get whatever type of justice that they can get at this point. You are checking out the Rise Up Morning Show with Natasha Ikemba, and I am Kalanji Changa on the cuts. There's some news that I also wanted to get to. I understand that there was a situation going on in Haiti, and we just got an article on that around a shooting at a hospital. Let me see if we can pull that up. In the meantime, and in between time, any other reports or lack thereof?
Lack thereof? What's the lack thereof part?
I don't know. Those are something I would say real quick.
I just want to bring up just bring up the Darrell Nichols case. Bring that back up. Brought it up, I think, maybe possibly yesterday, but Darrell Nichols, we're going to be supporting his family, Darrell Nichols and his family, and their struggle to free Darrell Nichols, who was gunned down by the police in Brooklyn on a train platform. And the police, Darrell Nichols is being criminalized, but the police who shot at Darrell Nichols and shot two bystanders, as well as their own, police officer. But none of these officers, no charges is being brought up against these officers. I don't know if the people who were shot, I don't even know if they're suing, but that's maybe something that they should be pursuing, a civil case against the state for this act, this what would you call it? Just crazy act, man. This indiscriminately just like shooting.
I would also like I mean it's not the word I'm looking for, but this over policing, this overzealous policing of just to go and shoot someone because they skipped a turnstile for $2.90.
You think that's overzealous? I mean, I think it's policing in America. I think that's
what they do.
Yeah, that's the proper term. It's like even in our attempt, even when we're outraged at these motherfuckers, we still try to make an effort to humanize or make it, and it is not an attack on us. I'm just saying it's like it's so insane that it's like, okay, well, this is bad policing. Policing by design in the US is bad policing. You know what I'm saying? Policing in any European colony, any situation where folks are colonized, it is bad policing. And it's just what it is. And until we recognize that, then we'll be going to hell in a handbasket. I'm glad that you're updating us on that, and hopefully we can get we can stay updated and also have some on the ground reports. And that's one of the things we're looking to do in 2025. And that is, bringing folks the real on all types of different levels. I want to take it to another story I was mentioning a few seconds ago around Haiti, because it's never a dull moment. Everybody see the screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Cool. So this is Haiti. Here's an article from Al Jazeera talking about how armed men opened fire on journalists during the reopening of a Haitian hospital. Said that armed men have opened fire on a group of journalists in Haiti who had gathered to cover the reopening of the capital's largest public hospital. While authorities have not offered details on casualties from the attack on Tuesday, the Reuters news agency reported that 2 journalists and a police officer were killed, citing a journalist who witnessed the attack and asked not to be named. He said, "We express our sympathy to all the victims' families, in particular to the Haiti National Police and all the journalists associations." Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council stated in a social media post. They said, "We guaranteed them that this act will not remain without consequences. The attack is the latest to royal Haiti, where continued political and economic instability have helped the rise of violent armed gangs that have grown more powerful since the assassination of former President Jovenel Moise." I know I'm not pronouncing his name right. I'm gonna let my Haitian comrade. I always mess it up, and I'm glad that you're here to get it right. Even though I probably think you ain't pronouncing it right either, but that's
no, I'm pronouncing it right.
We just checked.
Between me speaking Creole and learning French, I'm getting it.
Some kind of way. Anyway, law enforcement authorities on the island nation have struggled to counter the criminal groups, which have exerted control over an estimated 80% of the capital, Port-au-Prince, where widespread violence has hammered citizens and disrupted vital services. So this is, again, we know that what's going on in Haiti, again, it's not a new thing. It's, it's terrible to see that there's constantly some type of BS on the move. You know what I'm saying? There's always some type of things. And when we really get to the nitty gritty, if you peel it back, I'm quite sure that there are other forces at hand besides the quote unquote gangs. You know what I'm saying? We got to see who are the sponsors of these quote unquote gangs, who are the funders of these gangs, and I'm quite sure that if you would do what's the thing you do when we were kids, you cover your eyes and you go around in a circle till you point and you stop and you point at certain people. If we did that, if we spun around, I'm quite sure to be pointing back at the US. You know what I'm saying? And the mercenaries trained at places like the School of America. So we know that it's not just gang violence. Again, we talk about propaganda. We mentioned that earlier. It's bigger than Nino Brown.
Man, to your point of the funders, I don't know. This just came to mind because again, it's I feel like the puppet masters are never caught. Like those people are never when there's an investigation and they are looking to break something up. I see like on the news they have like 20 Africans for a RICO charge, and I'm like, okay, so these Africans is the only they don't own a boat, a ship, an airplane, a train, or nothing, right? No cargo, pickup trucks or nothing, but they are for transporting, growing, this heroin and all of that, these pills. You talking about prescription pills, man. You know what I'm saying? This is always, we can go back decades, right? And you never see that picture of the doctors, these 20 doctors, RICO, prescription Xanax, opioids in the community. They were flooding the community. You never see that. Sometimes you hear a doctor here and there getting arrested. But come on, man, it's and the same thing with Haiti, Yeah,
I think there was a what Chris Rock made a joke recently about how just not all drug dealers get arrested.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, this is.
I'm caught on the RICO charge thing because Ikemba, you mentioned RICO, and I'm thinking about the baby oil producer up in your part of town. You know what I'm saying? He's the first cat I seen get a one man. Oh, not even from Philly. Yeah, he do, boy.
He's like, I'm from Philly. I never go to New York.
Look at that. Hey, look. But I see that baby oil on the shelf. Look right next to that book.
You don't see no baby oil. No baby oil over here.
Johnson & Johnson. Anyway, I'm still stuck on dude getting the RICO charge by himself. They still have produced. He brings new meaning to the one man gang.
Right.
That's wild, Taliban, man. Like, you got a whole RICO charge on one dude. Now, again, I ain't defending that dude at all. Don't get it twisted. I'm just saying, like, God damn, where the rest of the people at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they inventing people. You know what I mean? And I ain't get into all that, but it's just like, man, they try to throw your other man Jay under the bus. Dude, you'll never hear him and Beyonce say nothing about nothing. You can say whatever you want. They said that. Dude had a statement before the ink dried. Like, I don't even know puppy like that.
Yo, leave me out of it.
We did an Akimba. Oh, I ain't never been in New York.
Exactly. See, Kimba straight like, I'm from Philly. Straight sellout.
Hey, boy. Man. Nah, but this, but seriously though, because with this thing though, with Haiti, man, it's always been, and I know people. What you would have is like people who would talk about accountability. Like that's going to be, the people who don't really want to get to the contradiction of colonialism, how that works, and how Europeans operate, man. Right. These people are in positions where they are controlling, markets. They force people in situations where they have to survive, man. Like when you talk about this criminal element, I remember Sister Bello was talking about, in Haiti, they ain't even know what crack, cocaine and all that was until Europeans came over there. You know what I'm saying?
We didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
Europeans came over here. So
now it's now it's over there in Africa.
Right.
So it's just like, and we not the ones, like you said, Akimba, who have control of the planes, of the ships.
Ikemba's not from New York. Don't try to agree with him. Right, Ikemba? Nah. In a minute, he's gonna be like, yeah, I've been in Atlanta for like, what's up, Ikemba?
Nah, but same thing everywhere Africans are, man. Same thing going down.
Well, listen, we don't have much time. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely happy that y'all took time off from fat dude sliding down y'all chimneys in the Brooklyn projects, and I'm glad. It's funny. Speaking of that, growing up in Bridgeport, I grew up in the projects and whatnot, and I remember, he's talking about Santa Claus. Of course, we ain't had no chimneys or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because we was in the project. I'm on the 6th floor. There's eight stories. So they used to say, well, Santa Claus slides under the door. we come through the window. So it's just like, I'm just thinking about like how crazy, just circling back.
It really is a disservice to the children, though.
It is.
That is because, when you think about it, even growing up, like, I grew up here, learning the culture. I was mad confused. I was just so confused because it just like it didn't make sense, but also like I was also confused about why would it's just such a disservice to the children.
No, tell us you tried to get away with it. See, we're gonna pull up the pictures of Natasha sitting on this fat white dude lap.
Never that. Never that.
Natasha, our producers are gonna find those photos. I just want you to know that.
Have them find them.
Hey, Googling right now. He's in the background right now.
Hey, I'm gonna put it out there. There's a picture. I don't know if it's out there, but I am sitting on Santa lap. It's a black Santa. I actually wrote a poem, man. I wish I had that joint on deck right now, but it's called Blackness, and I talk about like black through the whole poem, and at the end I talk about even when I was young, I even believed in black Santas, and there's a picture of me on a black Santa, but y'all won't find that though.
Nah, so Kimber, you trying to say you sitting on Bill Cosby lap, brother? Hold on, man. Where do you?
I was young. I was in kindergarten, man.
Okay, all right. I'll let
you. He ain't choose to sit on Santa.
I wasn't 8, 9 years old sitting on Santa lap, man.
I hope not, man. You know what I'm saying? Natasha hopelessly devoted. She's still defending you. Now we see the picture. He was 13. We got a problem, Natasha, or 21, or whatever the case is. I like Santa Claus. He black.
I wish I had my poem on deck though. Y'all love it, man. Hey, for the peoples, man.
Freestyle.
Nah, I can't do that. I know my limitations, man.
Yeah, don't let Kalani try to draw you out here to do something that.
Hey, you talk about like these recordings, having these recordings, prosperity, like
I'll wait for you.
I was catching me out there like that.
Oh, I would never do you like that, brother. What kind
of here it go, right here. I think I found it.
Found it.
Pulled it up.
That's
how we gonna end
nah.
That's how we end this segment.
False alarm.
What?
False alarm. I thought I had it.
He couldn't read it without putting it on the screen. We just saw that picture. We saw this thing. His mom sent out postcards and everything. Literally Kimber. 30 years old, sitting on Santa lap with a dashiki. Chill out, Kimber. That's cool, man.
That'd have been a treat for the people, man. That'd have been a little Christmas poem I'd have had for y'all. Hey, hold on.
I think they'll be all right, though. I think they'll be all right.
I think so too. Screws your end.
Hey, see, y'all, again, people sleeping on my skills, man. Those who know, Natasha, I got skills. Come on.
You got skills.
That's your Philly homeboy. That's your Philly comrade. You said what? You said you don't know about the poem?
Though.
Okay. Well, listen, man.
Damn, I ain't even got it on deck. It's all good.
A long time. It can be like, I have it right here, and then we just waiting. In
the mortal words of Tiny Tim, good night to all, and Merry Quimmer.
But before we go, we do want to shout out.
I was joking, y'all.
Show that's debuting.
Okay.
There's a new show debuting.
Yeah, in January.
Would it be in January?
It's called.
All these people y'all be treating me like Tito Jackson, man. Everybody getting these shows. I seen Natasha popped up like talking about, hey, I'm busy. I got a new show I'm doing. And now we got somebody else talking about see, they treat me like Tito Jackson, y'all. Everybody got a show.
Hey, they treat me like Kalonji Changa. They just push me off the platform.
Nah, I ain't going for that. I ain't going for that.
Kalonji just go ghost and nobody be seeing him.
Wow.
I put out of APB.
Oh man,
putting that business. Ooh, Front Street.
What's the name of the new show, Natasha?
It's called Decolonizing Media on Black Power Media Reloaded.
Yo, we found them. Y'all can.
Who did that?
You can put founded on there. You put found on there.
Yeah, you can put found on there. You can put found.
Y'all some haters, man. That's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, it's called Decolonizing Media. It's gonna be on Black Power Media Reloaded and also on the Indigenous Nightmare Network. So that kind of gives you a clue who hosting the show. None other than our comrade Isaac Jasper, our Undungu Isaac Jasper. And it's going to be a bi-weekly show with guests like Laith Maroof and Kennard, along with other anti-colonial guests. But basically, it's going to be a show about decolonizing media, and it's going to be available for y'all to view every 2 weeks.
Okay, is this the same indigenous nightmare that just put that poster up of me? I think Isaac want to try me, man. What's up, man? I think you want to. I think Isaac a little angry dude, man. I think he's ready for the Cobra Clutch. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we appreciate y'all. We're looking forward to the show. We have several new shows popping up, and we're grateful. Black Power Media Reloaded is definitely growing. Salute to all of our Ndugu who have helped to build things. Some behind the scenes, Sister May. Our other producers. Of course, Isaac is fake producing today. You know what I'm saying? Trying to play me with that poster. You know what I'm saying? The work that all of us are doing. Liliana, folks on the screen right now.
He's lying to y'all. Look at
that. He will come from nowhere. Look at that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but now we got
Efamina.
Say it again.
Our intern Efamina.
Our intern Efamina. I ain't seen her since she started. She been around?
Yeah, she around.
Okay. Efamina, I knew we could count on you. I'm the one that haven't been around. Nah, but definitely just and all the people that have been contributing by whatever means possible, whether it's a donation or simply just even, I don't know, sharing what it is we're doing. Indeed, our platform is shadow banned, and rightfully so, because we're talking about revolution, we're talking about culture, and we have some dynamite people that are part of what it is we do. So we appreciate you all for supporting us. We're gonna continue to grow. We have some major things coming up. Like I said, we're running out of time, but I believe we have a show tomorrow before the weekend, or no?
Yeah, we have a show tomorrow. You know, we got a show on the 26th, first day of Kwanzaa.
Okay, all right. Just make sure, man. I know that Ikemba has been a stunt double for Karanga, so it's all good. I want to make sure that that he good.
No.
Kimba gonna cut his head bald. Listen, anybody donate $2,000 or more, you could come cut a piece of Kimba's hair.
I'll let it happen. I'll do it for the cause. I'll do it for the cause.
For the cause, not just because. Anyway, again, we appreciate you all. Stay tuned. Rise Up Morning Show, International Morning Show. We out. Black Power Media Reloaded.
Rise up.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one, where the battle is to love yourself and function in society, where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares. Mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution. It's real solutions. What we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. Like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution. It's real solutions. where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy.